Hello. Welcome back to Cranky Conkers. As always, I am Jake Mastro. I'm joined by your other host, Keaton Byer.
Yellow.
And we are joined one more time by Mummy superfan Sabrina Oliver.
I really like this title for me. I feel like I'm going to carry it with me everywhere now.
You should
Put it on my business card.
Yeah,
get some business cards printed up. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
So last week we talked about what? We talked about a lot of stuff, actually. We talked about kind of how we felt about the movie a little bit, and then we talked about the production pre and during, and Brendan Laser Fraser almost dying.
Yeah, we have to keep it that way.
The Laser Fraser. Yeah, so now this week, what are we going to talk about, Jake?
Well, I think we have a couple more things to touch about just on like some couple more production facts and some quotes.
It's such a massive movie that it would have been a long episode if we tried to put it.
Yeah, and then we're gonna talk a little bit about some visual effects. You know, we're gonna have another installment of Jake Mastro's Tales of 20-Year-Old CGI. You know,
something you're quickly becoming an expert in.
Becoming.
Sorry. I mean, in the context of movies, of 90s movies.
Right, yeah, exactly. Anyway, so yeah, we have a few like good quotes, I think, that specifically some from Stephen Sommers that I think we want to start with. But Keaton, you wanna give us the quote about Jaws?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So what did he? So is Stephen Sommers talking about like the vibe he wanted for the movie, right?
Yeah. So I want to say one thing. It's like I was watching this sort of making of thing, and like a million times Stephen Sommers was like, you know, it's not going to be a guy wrapped in bandages.
Yeah.
You know,
he definitely. He wanted to drive that point home.
Yeah, like,
well, it definitely wasn't.
Yeah, you know, this is the fucking Mummy for the 90s. It's not a guy wrapped in fucking bandages, okay? Like,
I don't think there were any bandages at all.
I didn't see one.
Well, there was when they were putting him in the sarcophagus. He had bandages,
but I guess
after that he was gone. Yeah,
but he wasn't a mummy at that point. He was a guy wrapped in bandages.
Yeah,
he was becoming a mummy. He was being
just
mummified.
a guy.
Pre-mummy.
He was partially mummified.
It's just a guy, yeah.
Yeah.
So the quote, what is it, from Sommers? He said, "To scare people now, you've got to be very graphic or very clever. But how much blood can you spew? And how much is appropriate in what is at heart a romantic adventure movie? To me, the scariest thing in Jaws is the girl getting nailed by the shark at the beginning." And you don't see a thing, so we've decided to be clever, and hopefully we will be. So
yeah, I don't know how successful he was at that, scaring us.
Yeah, and the other thing he said was like that I think he kind of failed at is that trying to keep quote unquote a fine line to keep it funny, not campy. The comedy has to come out of the characters and the situations, he says, because the minute it becomes tongue-in-cheek or campy, you risk destroying the horror element.
Does he honestly think this movie is a horror movie?
I think he might, yeah.
I don't know about that. I mean, if it's a horror movie, it's not a very good horror movie.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Like, I don't want to take anything away from the movie, but it's not it's definitely not a horror movie. Like,
no, they have moments where they're definitely like kind of going for that aesthetic a little bit, like when his jaw extends like the first time.
Oh,
that's a super horror shot.
And I mean, some of it's kind of brutal, like when they're cutting out all the priests' tongues and stuff.
Yeah, but they didn't even show that.
But, yeah.
It's fucking PG-13.
Just kind of suggested.
It's like, you can't...
Yeah, and I mean, there are a lot of people burning alive.
Well, I guess that's what he meant by we have to be very graphic or very clever.
Yeah,
and they couldn't be graphic because PG-13.
PG-13, yeah.
Except for there's a lot of burning people, but apparently that's
Lot of burning
okay.
people.
That's
But
okay,
that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were only slaves usually.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah, the melting people as well.
Yeah, the melting people. Yeah,
Oh,
that was creepy.
those were locals.
Yeah, they were locals.
Yeah, it was good.
That was scary when the people got melted.
Yeah,
But I wouldn't
was-
say it was it was horrifying.
No, they definitely failed in the horror, and to be honest, they definitely failed in like not making it campy. Like
Yeah,
that's kind
a
of
little
why
bit.
this movie is so good. That's like kind of the
What is the
backbone
definition
behind.
of campy?
You know it when you see it.
Like I kind of know what it means, but what?
It's like silly in like
in like a tongue-in-cheek silly.
Yeah.
Almost. It's like
I suppose it's silly in a
absurd. Okay, here's the dictionary definition.
Okay.
Okay,
they
there's
have,
a dictionary definition. Okay,
Yeah, in the style of camp, which is not helpful.
that's not,
Absurdly exaggerated, artificial, or affected in a usually humorous way. So it's kind of like
Right.
over the top in like a
Right.
kind of on the nose kind of way. I
right.
think.
I was gonna say like it's silly in a very self-aware way.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like The Mummy is probably pretty campy.
That's
think
my
it's
opinion.
100% campy.
It's,
kind of true.
it's one of the
it's
campiest
incredibly
movies I've
campy.
seen.
But that's what I like about it.
Yeah.
But I think it is.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think maybe he succeeded in different areas than he expected, perhaps.
Yeah.
Like I still love the movie, but I think maybe he didn't get quite what he was going for.
Mm-hmm.
But,
Yeah.
you know, maybe the same with
Would
Van
you say he
Helsing.
got? Yeah. Would you say he got closer to it in Van Helsing?
I don't know what his intention was in Van Helsing, but I'm gonna say it was probably campier than he anticipated.
I see. Yeah.
I mean, there's a character who wears a top hat. You know that like funeral weird guy.
Yeah. The
He doesn't have a name. His name
coffin
is
guy.
His name is Top
also
Hat.
yeah. Another thing with Steven Summers and writing scripts,
Yeah,
it's like
no one has a name.
nobody has a name except for like 3 characters.
Yeah, and this weird guy with a top hat, is literally called Top Hat. Like,
Is
come
that
on.
actually?
Yeah, in the credits.
He's
it
not
says
called The
Top-
Undertaker.
No,
He's
it's
called
just
Top
Top
Hat.
Hat. Like,
That's
Really?
ridiculous.
Yeah.
You have to be clever.
very clever.
Very clever.
Very clever.
You have to be clever. Like Top Hat Man.
Not Top Hat Man. Top Hat.
So, another thing that Steven said about Brendan Fraser is, so he described the role to Brendan Fraser, and do you wanna read that quote for us, Sabrina?
Yeah, so Brendan Fraser, Laser Fraser, according to him, he was told by Stephen Summers that, quote unquote, all I had to do was turn up, shoot guns, and look like a stud. Which I would say, that's pretty much what he did.
Check
I mean,
and check.
Yeah, he fulfilled the brief on that.
Studley do right here.
Very stud. I mean, I feel like he was a pretty prime stud for the late 1990s.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
George
He
of
was
the
a
Jungle.
hunk.
Yeah.
Beefy.
He was
yeah.
definitely a hunk
Yeah.
with a camel and a horse. And he definitely shot a lot of people.
Oh yeah. What?
Something that's a little disturbing.
Did we count out
honestly.
the body count on this movie?
We did not count the body count, but Brendan Fraser for sure killed
Yeah.
dozens of people.
This
Well,
is a segment
lot
that
of-
I always wanted to do. I haven't actually had the time to like
actually
figure
do
this
it.
out. But like we're talking about this idea for a segment called Cinemalytics, which is like we come up with like some really arbitrary stat about a movie, and then we like measure it like to the number. But you know that takes a lot of work, so we didn't
does,
do
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But for sure he kills a lot of people. And I mean, just also based that he's in an army, he probably killed a lot
Yeah,
of
he
people.
killed a lot of people
then.
before that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then in the movie.
And he had a very good time.
He had a very good time. Enough time to get hanged.
Yeah.
So
He had a very good time.
Where are they taking him?
To be hanged. Apparently, he had a very good time.
there's a strong opinion on the internet that Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz in that movie are very, very attractive.
No.
And many people credit it as their sexual awakening on the
Interesting.
internet. So, obviously he was a stud.
So it's
Yeah.
a whole generation of internet users' sexual awakening.
It is, and especially a lot of people say that it made them bi.
Really?
It made them
Really?
realize.
So they were really into both Rachel Weisz
Yeah.
and Brendan Fraser.
Yeah. Like
Okay.
You got
it's
studs
actually-
on both ends.
There's a huge subcategory.
They were
of
both
memes.
so studly that
yeah,
like
that the both of them and then them together. It was
Yeah.
like
I want them both. Yeah.
yeah,
Bring them on.
like
I
it was
get it.
just like an explosion.
Yeah.
And it's actually like so many memes about it from
Really?
individual people. Like it's kind of weird the number. I never thought about it, but I like on this meme page. Like it's probably like 25% of the memes just about
Really?
like,
Do you
wanna-
how sexy Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz are. Vice. Also
You
Art
keep-
of Bay.
You keep referencing this meme page. What is
Yes.
that?
It is called Memehotep's Mummy Memes. It's a very popular page. It has 60,000 members.
This is on Facebook?
It's on Facebook, yes.
Yeah.
And it's just a community of people making memes about the mummy. They even provide, like, the admin of the page even provides templates for people if they want to make their own memes. So everyone's very,
Wow.
very friendly. People exchange lots of different kinds of memes about Emotep and Brendan
What a
Fraser.
community.
It's a big community, and the people are very friendly, very interesting people. There are some like non-meme posts sometimes. Like one guy posted that he had 3D printed a replica of the Book of the Dead. So he like showed a picture of he had literally created this like this huge replica of the Book of the Dead and the key for the book as well.
Was it functioning? Like you could turn the
It was
key in
functioning,
there?
yeah.
That's so sick.
And there are people who are like, I saw one person, actually just today someone posted, they were looking for tips for how to dress like Evie. So they were looking for fashion advice on where to shop.
And what were the
for-
tips? What were the tips?
There were some brands that people suggested for if you wanted to look like Evie, but mostly like Evie from The Mummy Returns because she looks a lot hotter in The Mummy Returns.
Right.
Oh, there
could
are a lot of
could
memes
you drive a truck through the
Yeah,
through her cleavage?
Even more. And
Even
mostly,
more.
I mean, her eyebrows are really weird in the first movie.
Yeah, they are really thick.
They
no,
look-
really
they're
thin.
really thin.
Sorry, thick.
And
Really
they
thin,
look
yeah.
much more normal in the second
Yeah.
movie.
They
So
like
that's
really plucked them.
yeah, they
Let me
they
see if
plucked
I
them
can
like super
find
weirdly.
an image.
It's a great
It's so-
it's a great page. Very very nice community.
So let's get the title one more time, because we're definitely repping this.
Memehotep's Mummy Memes. If you've ever wanted to make a meme about Emotep or anything to do with the mummy, this is the place to be.
That's the I assume your plug for
That's my
when we
plug,
ask.
yeah.
Oh, this is a good combo mummy diehard meme here. Take us to Hemonoptera. We'll look for some treasure. Have a few laughs.
There are a lot of crossover memes on this
Yeah,
page too.
exactly.
Yeah. People love those. And just generally there are a lot of just pictures of Emotep's facial expressions. Yeah. Oh yeah.
They hate Tom Cruise.
They hate Tom Cruise. A lot of them, like probably I would say 50% of the memes are about how bad the 2017 Tom Cruise mummy movie is.
They just felt betrayed.
Like they felt super betrayed. So a lot of the,
I mean, who can
memes
blame
are
them?
just, yeah.
That reminds me, I totally forgot to mention in the first episode, Tom Cruise was one of the actors that was looked at for the role of Rick O'Connell originally in the
Really?
90s. Yeah, but he turned it
Really?
down, I think.
I think he regretted it and that's
Yeah,
why he
clearly
came back.
he changed his mind.
Yeah,
he
he
was like,
clearly
curse
regretted
you,
it.
Brendan Fraser.
Yeah.
I have to
Although-
show them that I can run better than him.
I can jump onto a horse better than he can.
Way better. Sorry, we're just looking. at
We're
memes.
literally just scrolling through Memehotep's mummy memes. I'm a bit surprised at like how big of a following this movie has on the internet.
I was shocked by it too. Honestly, I only discovered it about maybe 6 months ago.
Yeah.
I started looking on the internet for meme pages or any kind of mummy following page. Mostly because
As
had-
one does.
As one does. Mostly because I had created my soundscape and I wanted to share it.
Emotep, Lord of Darkness, the bringer of death. As he rises from his tomb, so rises his power, as he consumes everything in his power. From him shall come locusts, bringing pestilence to all. So shall the sun be cast into darkness, and the rivers of Egypt shall run red as with blood. Some may worship him, yet all will fear him, and rightfully so. For in his quest to rule the sands, he will never eat, he will never sleep, he will never stop. Emotep, 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 Emotep.
Because I actually don't really know any the Mummy fans other than my own direct family. And mostly I wanted to share it with Brendan Fraser, but he is not on social media.
He's not at all.
He's not at all on social
He's
media.
a recluse.
So he's a recluse.
Yeah.
So then I thought, okay.
Well, if you do want to go on a podcast, Brendan Fraser, this one's open.
This one's open.
Yeah,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah.
Also-
we'll talk about. We'll do Dudley Do Right. We'll talk about Dudley Do Right.
Talk about anything Brendan wants.
Yeah.
Well, fair enough. Like the internet was pretty harsh on Brendan for a while.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, when he had his divorce, people were really grilling on him.
Really?
But anyway, I was looking for pages, about the Mummy so that I could maybe share my soundscape with some other fans. And I was honestly shocked to find how many pages there were and how many people were actually interested in it, because I really have not met many people who have seen the Mummy more than once, just as a kid, or actually remembers the Mummy, or particularly likes it. But apparently there
It's a
are
thriving
60,000
community.
people who love the Mummy and want to see exclusive Mummy memes. So I'm not alone. I thought I was a super fan, but there are people out there who are way more intimate than me.
God bless those people.
God bless them, and I wish
Or
I knew them all.
Sorry, Amun Ra, bless those people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amun Ra, Amun De.
What is even this?
There are a lot of crossover memes.
Chick, stop looking at the memes. You're gonna get
He's a-
absorbed into this.
There are a lot
Yeah.
of Mummy memes too.
Oh, and a
or
lot of
Beni-
anti-Tom Cruise.
a lot of anti-Tom Cruise. I'm surprised the admin of this group hasn't been assassinated by a Scientologist
So
yet.
is it? Are we saying it's 25% anti-Tom Cruise memes?
Probably closer to 50.
25%,
God.
Brendan Fraser is a stud.
Yeah, and
25% Rachel Weisz is hot. And then what's the rest? That's 100%.
that's 100%.
That's 100%.
No, well, I'd say okay, maybe less than 50. Maybe 30 to 40% Tom Cruise sucks, and The Mummy 2017 is a travesty.
Yeah.
And then probably 30 to 40% Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz are so sexy and
Yeah.
bound chicka wow wow.
How
and
old is
then-
the page?
I don't know how old it is actually. That's a good question.
Can we find that out?
Did it come? Was it active before the new Mummy, or is
Oh.
is all this Mummy Tom Cruise hate did the Tom Cruise hate spawn this community?
This group was only created November 29th, 2019.
Wow.
And it already has 60,000 members.
Wow.
Wow.
57 new posts just today.
Oh
Plus
my God.
937 in the last week.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the Mummy is
This
booming.
is thriving.
Yeah.
It's booming.
What was you were telling me something about somebody had a really well thought out script idea for a Mummy sequel or something like that.
Oh yeah, there's this guy who he posts. I follow a different meme page for the Mummy, which is
So there's multiple.
There are
meme
multiple, but this one's a lot smaller. It's only
This is
600 or 700 people. I think it's a
Okay.
small
so it's
one.
a niche
It's a niche
Mummy
one.
Yeah.
community.
And it's dedicated to the Scorpion King as well. And there's this one guy who posts on it every probably few weeks. He posts his idea for the new Mummy movie that they should
Like the
make with
same
Brendan
idea?
Fraser.
He
Like the
reposts
same idea,
same
yeah.
ad-
He just reposts it.
Just in
I
case
assume
Brendan
he gives
Fraser's.
more details, right?
No, it's the same post.
Oh.
It's just
Well, he's just
over and over
re-alerting, just in case Brendan Fraser's on it this week.
He's waiting, yeah.
Sorry, did you just say Fraser?
Not Frasier.
I think he
Sorry,
did.
He did, yeah.
sorry,
Laser.
Brendan Laser Fraser.
Yeah, so this guy just posts his idea And it's basically, I don't remember as much about it, but essentially Johnny Depp is the mummy in his scenario.
I mean,
so
he's
sick.
pretty close to a mummy. He's pretty
basically
decrepit
mummified.
looking.
He's essentially mummified. Although, I mean, he did just get dropped by Warner Brothers, right? So
Yeah.
he might not be picked up by Universal,
That's
because
true. That's a good point.
because he's too controversial now.
Yeah.
But
Apparently,
basically, he just reposts his idea for the sequel, and it's really in depth. Like, he has all the casting choices. He has like a full plot, and
So are all the old actors returning?
not all of them. Mostly just Brendan
Is
Fraser.
Jonathan in it?
No.
No.
Well, he
So
doesn't
what are
mention
the-
Jonathan.
What are some of the like key plot details from his version?
I mean, honestly, all I remember is Johnny Depp. But like,
So
I
other
could
than-
find it. I
Right.
could read it to you if you want, but I have to find it. He posts it very often.
It's okay. I don't think we need all the details.
Anyway, we
Yeah.
don't have this guy's permission to like spread his
That's
awesome
true. Yeah,
script idea.
Well, I
It could
mean,
be
he posted
copyrighted.
it. He posted it like publicly on Facebook.
I mean, if by any like chances we post this to, if he hears this,
Yeah. Okay. Sure. Yeah.
he
okay.
needs to get in contact with us so we can
It's
talk
true. Yeah.
more about
if you,
this.
If you hear this, we'll talk about it, and
Yeah.
We could have him on the show to talk about it, even
we
if
can
he
have him on the
wants.
show,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
I don't know. I'm not committing to that.
Well, he might
Who
be
knows?
crazy. It's true. So we'll
Who
Yeah.
knows what he's like? You don't.
Yeah.
If you're not crazy, we can have you on the show.
As long
I'm
as
sure
you
he's
say
cool.
Fraser and not Frasier,
Yeah, that's how
I'm
we can
sure
know.
he says Fraser.
he must know.
Yeah, if he's a
He
real
must
mummy
know.
fan.
Do you think Emotep took a break?
I don't know.
As we know, no, he will never eat, he will never sleep, and he will
Does he
never
drink
stop.
anything?
No, he
He
just
took a
assimilates.
3,000 year
He does
break.
eat a scarab.
He does eat a scarab one time, yeah.
Yeah, but
but
that
it's
was just-
already in his mouth. It just
That was
it
for
just goes into his
cool
mouth.
effect.
That was for cool effect. He didn't really need to eat it.
That was to showcase how badass he was.
Exactly. He's like, oh, the scarab ate me alive? Well, I'm gonna eat it.
Yeah, exactly. That's actually super important character development point in the movie.
It is.
Yeah.
But do you think the scarab ate his flesh and had traces of his flesh and then he ate it? So he kind
So-
of ate himself?
That's auto cannibalism right there. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think Emotep would care. I mean, he does assimilate other people, so
Yeah, I mean, those aren't his eyes or tongue.
no, they're someone else's.
That's some of that, like, every time you, like, look into his eyes, that's that other dude with the glasses. Also, why doesn't Emotep need glasses?
Good point. If he got this shitty guy's eyes,
Yeah,
yeah, he should need the glasses too. That's true.
because that's the only reason he got his eyes.
Because he got the eyes from the guy who needed glasses. So if he has the same eyes as that guy, he should
That's
need
a
glasses.
really good point.
Also,
I wouldn't have thought about that.
well, I guess he didn't take the guy's voice. I was going to say they should have the same voice, but that's not related to
Well,
your
that
tongue.
yeah, it comes more.
That comes from like your
vocal
throat.
cords
Yeah,
and stuff.
yeah. But the eyes, yeah. He should be like feeling around
Hmm.
the tunnel, like my glasses.
So like, what?
Like Velma.
So would he also get his accent? Would he become American?
Yeah, he'd
like,
become American.
American. So, we talked about it a little bit last week, but I was hoping, because I don't actually know, I guarantee you I don't know as much as Jake about it, but the special effects company responsible.
What? Oh yeah. So I guess we'll talk about the CGI. I guess another installment of Jack Master's 20-year-old CGI facts. If you haven't listened to the Monsters Inc. episode, that's like half the episode is me talking about 20-year-old CGI.
Yeah.
There will probably be fewer technical details in this one. I will not try to explain deep shadow maps to you.
Oh, damn.
But there's some good stuff in this.
Okay.
So as we previously mentioned, the CGI.
Pretty dope CGI, if you ask me.
Yeah.
It
So
holds
as we
up, honestly. Like, it's clearly 90s CGI, but like,
But
I
like
think-
high budget 90s CGI.
yeah,
very
and
late 90s CGI.
and it's
There was-
definitely done
There was
in the way
barely
like
any 90s left.
no, not
Yeah.
like minutes.
Yeah.
Let's talk about 20-year-old CGI.
Well, I was gonna say that like they because they are such like a good company and they're such high budget, they're like super aware of their limitations.
Yeah.
So they're
Well, actually,
they're very good at like kind of weaving it in in a way that like the bad stuff is kind of hidden, behind like sandstorms and whatnot.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, those sandstorms looked real.
But I also I have a really interesting quote from Stephen Sommers about working with ILM,
Okay.
and it also kind of says a lot about Stephen Sommers. So he was saying like, I'm used to asking for things. I'm paraphrasing because I forgot to write this down. But
Okay.
he said I'm used to asking for things and like being told like, oh no, we can't do that. You have to do it like this, right? And
I remember this. Yeah.
And then, but when I was talking to ILM, I would ask them for things, and they would be like, "Oh yeah, we can do that." And have you thought about doing this too? Ooh. It's like, so
Like mind blown, Steven
yeah.
Sommers.
So like,
Yeah.
Stephen Sommers always got more than what he asked for, I guess.
That kind of sums up this movie more than what you asked for in terms of special effects.
And also, Rachel Weisz had a good quote about this too, because she was saying like, when you're acting against the CGI or whatever, like you don't see anything, so it's all in your imagination. And then she said, when she eventually saw it, my imagination was very boring compared with what they came up with.
No, yeah, to be fair, that must be so hard to like scream like you're saying. It's like, okay, so imagine there's a mummy in front of you.
Yeah.
Now action.
Yeah,
Do you think she imagined a guy in bandages?
Oh, I bet
probably.
she fucking did.
Although apparently, Brendan Fraser did a really good job acting with the CGI or without anything in front of it, basically. So the way Brendan Fraser put it,
Come on.
sorry, he says
This is not tossed salad
about
and scrambled
acting
eggs.
with effects. He says the awkward bit is that you may think that you're overacting, throwing your jaw open and screaming, expecting somebody to come away and take my union card. But when you see the results, obviously there's a creature put in there, and whatever response you gave is entirely appropriate.
Yeah, I would not be able to do that. I'd feel like such a fucking moron.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like,
Yeah, so
I'm so
apparently
scared.
ILM was pretty impressed with Brendan's acting.
boom.
They just said like, oh, he gave us a lot of like stuff to work with, when
Eat
he
it,
was
Tom
fighting
Cruise.
with nobody, And
Do you
yeah,
think they'd say
ILM was
he was
like seemed to really enjoy working with fucking Brendan.
Brendan seems like a nice guy.
He does seem like a really nice guy. And this is and I've heard an anecdote from Kevin Smith, who was like in an elevator once with Brendan Fraser, and he was like just so impressed that Brendan Fraser. This was in like the late 90s when Brendan Fraser was at the top of his game.
Yeah.
Apparently, Brendan Fraser was like, "Oh, you're Kevin Smith, right? Oh, I love your movies. Oh, because Kevin Smith obviously." If you've ever heard Kevin Smith talk about anything, he's very he seems very ashamed of everything he's ever worked on. He's like, "Oh, you're Kevin Smith. Hi, I nice to meet you," and everything. And
Yeah.
it's like, yeah,
That's funny.
So yeah, apparently Brendan Fraser's a very nice guy.
Well, he is partially Canadian.
Yeah, it's
So-
it's genetic.
Very polite.
Exactly. So you're not a listener to this show very often, Sabrina, but we talk probably way too much about Toronto, and
It comes up almost every episode somehow or another.
The T.O.
yeah. So, but I guess this one is just
Everywhere I
that
go.
Brendan Fraser
Yeah.
went to school in Toronto. I went to
Yeah.
UCC,
that is connected. That's
which
a
is
legitimate
incredibly
connection.
bougie. So, but
Yeah, I'm kind
whatever.
of shocked by that.
Yeah.
Like, how bougie
It's
is
real
Brendan?
bougie.
That's pretty bougie. I'm kind of shocked by that.
Yeah.
It makes me feel a bit disconnected from him because I feel like,
He's not a working
he's
man.
almost maybe too bougie. Yeah, he's not a working man.
Exactly. But yeah, so ILM basically spent most of their time
Do you want to,
doing basically one effect.
just to interrupt you super quick, do you want to just give us a bit of background on who ILM is?
Yeah, I guess I kind of just assume everybody knows this, but I guess I'm completely wrong.
I do not know this. Tell me.
So ILM is an acronym for Industrial Light and Magic, who is I guess they're I wouldn't say like they're an effects company.
They're a special effects company.
Special effects company who used to be, or I guess still technically is a wing of Lucasfilm.
Yeah. I don't know if they still are, but
Well, I mean, I assume they're still owned by Disney.
Everything's owned by Disney.
So we talked about this a little bit in the episode about Monsters Inc., but ILM and Pixar essentially used to be the same company, but then they kind of split apart.
imagine Pixar made the special effects for this movie. I mean, in a way, they did.
Well, I wonder if RenderMan was used actually.
It's a good question.
Don't quote me on that, but I will talk a little bit later about software that was used. And no, they did not use Alias.
Bummer.
Curse them.
Actually, I don't know if they didn't use Alias at all, because I know ILM did use Alias. But anyway, Alias, by the way, for anybody who hasn't heard about the other episodes, is a piece of software that is used for, or was used extensively in the 90s for CGI in films. Is a product that I am employed to work on, basically.
Professional.
Yeah. Sorry?
A professional.
Yes.
Hacker man.
No. All right. So anyway, so now that we sort of understand who ILM is, they've done like a million movies. They started off basically when they were doing Star Wars. Doing all the crazy effects in that movie. And then eventually they also became like very on the cutting edge of CGI as well.
They did like they did all the Indiana Jones movies too.
Yeah.
They did The Search for Spock.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Although we talked about that as well, because that used the Pixar RenderMan.
Oh yeah, we did. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did they do Terminator 2? I feel like they did Terminator 2. The Abyss as well.
So this isn't like a Joe Blow company. Like Steven Summers shelled out for the
they
effects
shelled
here.
out for ILM. ILM is probably like the leading, or at least was at the time, the leading like effects company.
They did The
in
Burbs.
Hollywood. What did they do in The Burbs? What was all the effects?
I don't know.
What did they even do? There wasn't
made
that
$9
much in that
million.
movie.
They got $9 million to do it though.
Jeez, okay. I gotta rewatch that movie. Where's
They
all
did
that money?
Labyrinth. They did Howard the Duck.
Yeah. Well,
They did everything.
those are classic Lucasfilm movies, but yeah.
Yeah.
So they spent most of their time basically doing one effect in this movie, which was to create the titular character, the mummy.
The Mummy.
Memehotep.
Memehotep. One of the most interesting things about that whole bit is when, and I don't think I've seen a movie prior to this where they really blended CGI with live action, like on the same character.
Yeah.
Because I mean I'm sure it was done prior to this movie, but I can't really think of a movie
Where it was done like well.
Well, they literally had like the character where part of him was a real character.
Yeah,
and part of him
exactly.
Was CGI.
It's like I can't think of really. I mean, it's
Is that
clearly
what they do with like Gollum?
Yeah, but obviously that
But
was
that's
after this.
yeah.
Was that after?
Although no, Gollum was all CGI mostly.
Was he?
Yeah.
What
Well,
about
it
the
was
guy?
motion tracked.
Well, no, so that was motion capture, which was used in this film.
The guy
but,
wears the suit,
Yeah.
and then they just like
Yeah. But so the thing that is interesting was because they had him on screen and they were showing his face, but then also on part of his face, it was CGI.
Right. Okay. Yeah. To make him look, creepy and mummy.
Yeah. So specifically, they said, or Stephen Summer asked them, so don't do anything that can be done with prosthetics.
Yeah, that's an awesome direction.
So it's like the reason I'm shelling out for this expensive fucking CGI, why we got our budget increased to $80 million is so that we can do crazy shit.
Yeah.
So if it can be done with prosthetics, I don't want to see it. Like I want to see holes in this motherfucker's face.
Yeah, I
I
want to
don't want
see
to spend
through
$10
his
million
head.
on rubber.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So, exactly. So they did actually use rubber in this movie. So because
fuck.
specifically,
So they did spend $10 million
They did
on
spend
rubber.
$10 million.
no, but they did the rubber with rubber, as opposed to using the CGI to make
Right.
fake rubber.
Gotcha.
Right. Okay.
So specifically, one of the big problems with prosthetics is that you can't subtract from an actor's face without obviously injuring the actor.
Yeah, which is why
Just, gouging.
In The Fly, Jeff Goldblum's massive nose and ears were kind of an issue.
Exactly. So, but with CGI, you can make something that subtracts from the actor's face.
Right.
Or from whatever's on their body or whatever, right?
Such as a giant hole in their head.
Such as a giant hole in their head or any part of their body, really. Wait, I mean, yeah, so...
Which, Emotep has holes everywhere.
Everywhere. So, specifically, there's that whole bit on the side of his face where he has, the hole that the scarab crawls through, and it's CGI scarab, and then he eats the scarab.
Classic.
And so, the reason why this whole thing was so complicated was basically, because they start off with the mummy, who's basically a skeleton, with some juicy bits, as they say. Who says it's juicy? Is it Jonathan or is it
Both of them
Brendan
at the same
Fraser?
time. They say
Yeah.
it
Still
simultaneously.
juicy.
Yeah.
She
Yeah,
starts the
alright.
sentence, and then they say it juicy simultaneously.
And then she's like, well, yes.
Juicy.
Yes, juicy.
It's a weird scene.
Technical term.
Is he supposed to look like that?
No, I've never seen a mummy look like this before. He's still,
Juicy.
yes.
Yeah, okay.
That's what we librarians call it.
That's
Yeah,
right.
exactly. So basically what they did was normally when you're animating a character, you just sort of make the outline of the character, and then you make what's called a skin, and then you attach that to armatures, which are called bones, quote unquote. But they couldn't really do that because they had to do actual bones, and then they had to do muscles on bones, so you could see all the kind of inner workings.
Right, you could
in
see the
there.
layers, so you can't really have fake layers at the bottom that you just put everything on top of, because you can see.
Yeah,
down
so
to
what they did
every
was they
level.
actually made an anatomically correct skeleton, and then on top of the skeleton, they put muscles, CGI muscles, and then on top of that, they built a skin, an auto skinning tool, which kind of filled in the muscles with some stuff, and then put skin on top of it, which ended up looking super, super realistic.
They were pretty pleased with the skin.
Yeah, but they didn't actually have the computing power to be able to simulate all the muscle interaction.
Right.
So they had to manually go in and move all the muscles. Oh,
God.
What,
So-
like a stop motion, like a claymation movie?
almost, but in the computer.
How many
So-
animators killed themselves?
Well, I don't know, but according to Dennis Turner, this cost hours and hours and weeks of enveloping and tweaking how the muscles work. We'd do a take and we'd see, the shoulder muscle twists inside out when he pushes his arm forward, so we'd go in and we'd fix that. And then we'd run it again and find some other muscle that pops or jerks or turns sideways. There's so many little pieces, and it required a lot of research and brute force and diligent disciplined effort to get it to all work properly. Dennis Turner was one of the animators at ILM, but yeah.
So tedious. That's crazy.
Yeah, so apparently they had to learn like a lot about anatomy
Yeah,
to understand how to actually put it all together. And according to Ben Snow, who was another guy at ILM, he says, we came pretty close to breaking the renderer.
What
This
does that
was
mean?
because of all the layers of things and crap that they had on Memehotep to make them all work. But
Like they came close to breaking it just because like it couldn't process what they were trying to force
like
it
just
to
so
do.
much shit to like to do. And yeah, so they spent months just building this model of the Imhotep mummy with all the muscles and all the skeleton and everything, and then the software that they wrote in-house to move all the skin bits in on top of what the muscle was doing.
Yeah.
And so and then after that they had to bring in Arnold Vosloo, who spent 2 days in motion capture, basically acting all of his scenes over again in motion capture so that they could match up the CGI model to the shot that they previously did.
Jesus Christ.
And so he had to, like, originally, even when he was doing the initial shot, he had to move and do, like, very specific movements in order for the effects to be, like, done.
So it sounds
And
like
then they
he
had to go
had the
back in.
hardest job out of any actor in this movie by far.
Yeah, although I do find it really funny because like when the ILM is when the guys at ILM are talking about the actors, they're like, "Oh yeah, Brendan Fraser was so good," and, like, they don't even talk about like fucking
Arnold.
Totally shafted.
But yeah, so
like
so according to Arnold, he was like, when he was working on doing the motion capture and then doing the original. Actually, it's not clear if he's talking about doing the original shot or if he's talking about doing the motion capture afterwards, because they had to do both. For every scene, he essentially had to shoot it twice. One of which he's wearing this spandex suit with like fucking markers on it. But he says, "Look, guys, I don't understand what the effect is going to be. Because, you know, they have this other computer language that, you know, nobody understands but them. So don't even bother explaining it to me. Just tell me what it is, to the letter, to the T, what it is you want me to do physically."
sounds like he was pretty frustrated with these animators.
No, apparently, like, he was like, this was just a bit, but he's like, you know, I actually did really enjoy working with them because it's like, you know, once you trust them and just listen to them, you know you're going to get, it's going to look good in the end. So,
Right.
but it's very confusing while it's happening. But
Probably at first he was like, "What is this?
why am I doing
Like,
this?
what-
Why do I have to
yeah.
look specifically this way? But
Yeah,
he was
it's-
saying like, yeah, okay, so you had to make sure that like you turned a certain way and stuff, because it's no good if you're facing that way against the camera if they're going to put the CGI on this side of his face or whatever,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So that was just an example he gave, but there's some very specific motions that he had to do because obviously certain things would have been more difficult to do,
Yeah.
essentially.
That sounds hard as shit. I would never want to do anything like that.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about the stuff with sand and flies and what we call particles.
Scarabs. There's a lot of clouds of things.
Yeah, we call that particles in the computer graphics industry.
That's what the pros call it, huh?
Sorry?
That's what the pros call it.
That is, I suppose, what the pros call it, yes. That's what I call it. So this was all done with a piece of software called Alias Maya, or it was called Alias Maya. Now it's called Autodesk Maya. Autodesk is the company I work for. Alias Maya was the sort of sister software to Alias Studio or Alias Power Animator. Anyway, Alias Power Animator is now just called Alias. That's the software that I work on. And
what
Maya was sort of it was actually really new in 1999. It had just come out in 1998.
What's the difference between the two of them?
So Maya was sort of designed to be like a full-on like 3D modeling package or not just 3D modeling package, but 3D animation software for cinema. So you'd be able to do everything in Maya, from modeling to particles to everything, without ever leaving Maya.
Right.
Whereas Alias is sort of just very specifically for modeling.
Gotcha, yeah.
And well, also there's animation features, but those aren't particularly used anymore that much. But anyway, I actually find this very interesting that in 1999 ILM chose to adopt Maya, because specifically ILM sort of had a reputation of like being like really slow to adopt new shit.
Okay.
Like specifically, they spent like years and years refusing to update past Alias 2.42, which came out in like the late 80s.
Why? Just because they
Sorry?
like working with what they know?
I'm not 100% sure. This
Presumably,
was
I guess,
something
I don't know.
I was told by some coworkers who were around at the time. But apparently,
Okay.
apparently Alias, like before 2.42, there was a version that was apparently not very stable. And so then after they released 2.42, it was apparently fixed all the bugs.
So they didn't
And
want to
so
like they were like
once
"Ah, I
once
don't
they
wanna
found
risk
one
it."
that they worked and they were happy with, they didn't want to change anything.
I mean, I
Fair
know
enough.
when my phone says it wants to update, I get angry.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not doing this. I don't know what I'm going to get.
Yeah.
I'm so good at using GarageBand from 2008. So
me too.
good at
Yeah.
it.
That's how
I'm
I made my
s-
soundscape.
Any other installment of GarageBand? No, I don't know how to use it.
Yeah. Well, I do all my fucking all my music in Cakewalk 3. So basically, I don't know. There's just one interesting anecdote about the particles is that they had the scene with all the flies, and
The
there
locusts.
locusts.
Come on.
Are there
It's
no
plagues,
flies? Is
come
it
on.
just locusts?
I
Is Jeff
assumed it
Goldblum
was
in this movie?
no. I assumed it was just locusts because it's supposed to be like the plagues of Egypt.
That's
but-
what
Right.
I assumed. but-
Although Jeff Goldblum,
well, definitely like when they first awaken Emotep,
Yeah.
and then there's that cloud of. That's definitely locusts, and then
Right.
they show the Egyptologist, and he's like, "What have we done?"
yeah,
And he's definitely covered in locusts at that
Yeah.
point.
Dr. Smith.
Dr.
yeah,
Smith.
Dr. Smith.
What should be Dr.
Yeah.
Smith?
So anyway, we were talking about the scene with. So there's a bit where he like spits all the locusts out of his mouth.
Yeah, his jaw like retracts or not retracts, whatever, unhinges.
Unhinges.
Yeah. So apparently there was only supposed to be a couple locusts in that scene originally,
Really?
but then like apparently
Why?
because there were a lot of extras in that scene, Summers was none too pleased with the performance of some of the extras. So he was like, "Yeah, put in more locusts so that you cover all their faces."
Yikes. Poor
Savage.
extras.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were probably looking forward to their film debut. They didn't even know they got cut out. Then they went to see the movie and they were like, "Damn
Why are there all these locusts over
Got
my
covered up
face?
by
Yeah.
flies.
I was gonna put this in my reel.
I know, yeah. So I just want to give a little bit of detail about one more effect that I found particularly impressive.
Okay.
And like, the very beginning of the movie, the part where they say Thebes, even though it's not Thebes.
It's Yakuza.
As we know now."
we now know.
Anyway, so you see the pyramids and like they're CGI, and they look all right and like very good for 1999.
Yeah.
But then they do that whole like pan over the city, and then they blend into like live action. And I was like, every time I saw that, like more recently, I just been like, damn, that's some excellent CGI. How did they do that in 1999? And then I found out that like apparently it's just the pyramids that were CGI. They actually built a 1/8 scale model of Thebes, or not Thebes, Giza,
thieves.
quote unquote thieves. So they built a 1/8 scale model, which, despite only being 1/8 scale, is incredibly huge. It took up like a whole soundstage at I don't know, one of the studios.
They shot in the
can't
UK,
remember
I
which one.
believe. I forget which one it was.
So they took up a whole soundstage, and they built a 1/8 scale model to do that fly through, and then they also like composited it with a wall in Marrakesh, where they have the chariot come through, and that's all live action. And then they also put in little CGI people into the shot of the model to make the model look more detailed. So it's like a really weird combo of like live action models and CGI.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it looks so good, but also kind of looks like CGI.
How much do you think that scene cost?
I don't know. $1 million. I don't know. ILM's not cheap.
But yeah, you're right. Like when you watch it now, it really doesn't. It's not like when you watch some movies from like 20, 25 years ago and you're like, wow, that looks so bad.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't look that bad.
No, it's like none of the CGI in this movie is particularly bad.
No.
Like it's way better than The Mummy 2.
Yes, The Mummy Returns. The Scorpion King is not particularly well done.
Did ILM do the? Who did the? I assume ILM didn't do the
I
effects
don't know.
for the sequel.
I don't know.
Let's find out. Just real quick, let's find out if they did the sequel.
I mean, a lot of it probably has to be the same kind of stuff because Emotep comes back.
Yeah,
and
got it.
Again, has
but
to
also,
assimilate.
when did they make The Mummy Returns? 2002?
2002? Not that long after.
But I mean, there was a lot of like advancement crazy with the I know when they were doing this originally, they were using Silicon Graphics hardware to do all the modeling, and I don't know about the rendering, but I'm pretty sure that by 2002 Silicon Graphics was like nearly toast. So like they had like completely different competing hardware. Like it would have been like much more advanced.
They did not do The Mummy 2. But they did do Van Helsing.
Well, yeah, that's why Van Helsing looks so
Dope.
damn good.
It does look good.
Like, actually, Dracula's wives in that movie look really good.
They do look good.
Like,
yeah.
they don't even look like CGI.
No.
But, I mean, they clearly are because,
Yeah.
like, they definitely didn't build the whole wings and everything.
No, definitely not.
Anyway, moving on from Van Helsing, which maybe we'll have to do at some
We've talked
point.
about almost Van Helsing almost as much as we've talked about The Mummy.
Yeah. I just want to give a couple more details about Brendan Fraser talking about CGI, working with CGI and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's specifically that he about the skeleton fight at the end.
Oh, that last
That's
fight?
a great fight.
Yeah.
According to Brendan Fraser, that is specifically a direct homage to Ray Harryhausen and the skeleton fight in Sinbad.
Oh yeah, and he was in
Yeah.
the Sinbad remake too. So
He was. Yeah.
there you go.
And Ray Harryhausen is, I believe, somebody who we've referenced before.
A true legend.
A true legend when we were talking about the reference in Monsters, Inc. to Harryhausen's.
And
The sushi restaurant in Monsters, Inc. is called Harryhausen's.
Yeah, and he also designed the creature that Godzilla stole from.
Yes, that's true. So,
The
yeah,
beast from
Harryhausen,
30,000
although we've never
Leagues.
actually covered a movie that Harryhausen actually worked on, he's come up a whole lot.
Yeah.
So another thing that Brendan Fraser said about that fight, but also just fighting against CGI in general, is that he really enjoyed not having to quote unquote pull his punches and worry about hurting a stuntman.
Do you think he did that a lot by accident?
I don't know. Do you think he? I
Punched
mean,
out
we know
some
Rachel
stuntmen?
Weisz did.
That's true.
Yeah.
Did he have some aggression he needed to work through? So he just like
Maybe.
really threw his punches as hard as he could.
But yeah, no, like, I mean, I understand, like, you know, Rachel Weisz almost killed a guy with the, well, I mean, I don't think she pulled the string, to be
Yeah,
honest.
she didn't almost
No,
kill
she
a
definitely
guy.
didn't pull the string.
Well, I don't know. Do you think she feels bad about it? Probably.
Doesn't
I mean, I
sound
don't know
like
if it
it.
haunts her, but
Didn't sound like she felt bad about it.
Well, she just seems more angry at the whole establishment.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, no, I feel like
maybe this is why she didn't come back for Mummy 3.
it's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
Also, because apparently she just read the script and thought it was terrible.
And I mean, it was a while after The Mummy Returns, so I feel like she'd kind of like picked
She'd
up
won
a
an
different
Oscar,
career.
you know?
Yeah, in the meantime.
Yeah,
so
she
it's
was like,
kinda
I'm too good for this.
Yeah.
She also won like a stage award, like a Laurence Olivier stage award in like
Really?
2009 for like Streetcar Named Desire. She played the lead.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, she's an actor.
we know
Yeah.
how her career started. The Mummy.
Did it not start before that?
No
Well,
one's
this was-
career
this was
started
her,
before
like-
The Mummy.
Yeah.
This was the
This is probably early in
blockbuster.
her career. But
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Like,
She had
I
like
mean,
two
it can't
other
have hurt,
films.
right?
sorry?
It can't have hurt.
No, yeah, absolutely not. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much all I have to say about the CGI.
And that's all I have to say about that.
About that. I don't know. Were we ever going to do that movie?
Forrest Gump?
Or-
I don't know.
Or
It's
is
gonna-
that too...
It might be too
well-known?
close to our heart.
Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
one heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We might spend the whole
that's
time
all
just
I
crying.
have to say about that.
All right, so where
Planet
are we now?
dying.
We've done our special effects. We kind of inadvertently talked about the meme culture already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you guys want to talk about the spin-offs and sequels a bit? You guys have already been kind of like bouncing into that a lot.
Yeah,
yeah.
well,
I
we'll quickly sum up what we've been talking about with the spin-offs and sequels.
I've never seen any of the sequels, I don't think. So do you
So
want
are
to just
we-
give me
are
like
we
a
in-
crash course?
So actually, before we started talking about the spin-offs and sequels, let's start talking about the movie that this was a remake of, or a spin-off of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Start at the beginning.
Yeah,
beginning.
start with Boris Karloff and shit. Yeah, so this was based on a movie from 1932?
Two. Yeah.
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 And once again, it was more of a pure horror movie. Was a little bit slower than this, and
A
was sort
little
of,
bit.
I mean, it didn't have Rick O'Connell just shooting people
Yeah.
in it, right? Yeah. But like, it did have a lot of the same plot details with Imhotep coming back 3,000 years later to resurrect his love, Ankh-Sunamun, or Anuk-Sunamun. I don't know how you want to pronounce it. But anyway, I think Imhotep was probably a little bit of a more sympathetic character in the original.
Yeah, he seemed more like a nice guy in that
Yeah.
one.
Well, I mean, not really a nice
Not a
guy.
nice
But
guy,
I mean,
but,
he
like-
had motivations that made kind of sense.
Yeah.
Right.
Whereas, Imhotep just seems like a fucking dick in this movie.
Well, and he has like a really smug smile.
Imhotep's
you know?
smug all the time.
He's always super smug, which is kind of
Yeah.
funny because like I don't think Imhotep speaks English, right?
No.
But a lot of
No.
the time, like when Rick is
But
like,
he doesn't need to. This is the genius of acting of Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's like, he can just be like,
yeah, he's just smug,
He's
and
just-
like
he's
Rick,
just so
Rick
smug.
O'Connell, like Brendan Fraser's like screaming at him like I'm
Yeah.
gonna get you,
Yeah.
and like Imhotep has no fucking clue what he's saying, but he's just smiling.
Yeah, that's just a good
smug
point.
smile.
Imhotep doesn't even speak English.
Yeah, he's just smiling smugly, like he's just like I know that I'm gonna win. Like
Yeah.
I don't care what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he's not the most sympathetic in this movie. Although
No,
I think
like,
they
you
were
don't want
trying
him
to
to
make
win.
him. No, not at all. I
Yeah.
think, like,
I mean, you don't want him to win in the original, but at least you understand where he's coming from.
Yeah.
yeah. And then when Anuk Sunamun or whatever, when she comes
Also, he
back,
doesn't murder the pharaoh in the original movie,
Mm.
so maybe that's part of why you have more like
He's not a straight up cold killer.
yeah, he's not
right?
like a
He's
fucking
more just like the
murderer right off
victim of the
bat.
curse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then we obviously get to the Mummy, which we've talked at length about, so we don't need to touch anywhere around there. But then we have the Mummy Returns. Do you want to say a couple words about that film, Sabrina?
Yeah, I mean, I would say The Mummy Returns is actually quite a good sequel.
Yeah.
It has the same kind of, swashbuckling adventure vibe. Rick and Evie are married and they have a son, so there's kind of like,
Wow.
the fun. Oh, they got together and they have a family now, like
Kind of like
yay.
National Treasure, but or not like National Treasure at all. Sorry, never mind. Go on.
Yeah, they got divorced in
Yeah,
National
I know.
Treasure
It's
too.
the exact
What the hell?
opposite.
I don't know if I've
exact
seen National
opposite.
Treasure 2.
What?
What?
I've seen the first one. I don't know if I've seen the second one.
The second one is very good.
Okay,
It is
I mean, they're both
really,
really good.
really good.
Book of Secrets.
Oh,
They're supposed to be
such a
making
good
a
one.
third National Treasure, but they've
Yeah.
been
They-
saying
well,
that for years.
We can, that's a whole conversation we can go down. I've
Yeah.
done a lot hours of research into trying to figure out what the deal.
Trying to
with
figure out
this.
if it's happening or not.
Yeah, exactly.
They keep
And
saying it is, but then it never happens.
Who knows?
I think they recently said that it was actually definitely going to happen now. But
Yeah, a few months ago, I remember they actually
Yeah.
they'd been kind of saying maybe, and then they said for sure, but there's actually like no real details about it.
yeah,
Right.
and they did. This has happened before, so I'll believe it when
Yeah.
I fucking see it.
He's probably too busy filming the Joe Exotic movie right now.
Wait,
Isn't
who's
it
so? Who?
Nicolas Cage.
Oh, right.
He doesn't have time.
Isn't he also like coming out with like a Netflix show where he like goes
Yeah.
into like the etymology of swear words?
Yeah, I saw an ad
What?
for it. It's called The History of Swear Words, and Nicolas Cage is the host, and he
Right.
just talks about different swear words. I saw this ad for it the other day on Netflix. It
Right.
was very strange, but you know.
How
Nicolas
are we
Cage have
talking about Nick Cage again? This always happens on this
Wait,
podcast.
it's
Cage
true.
is
It's true.
pervasive.
I feel like he's come up in nearly every episode.
Well, he touches every part of our lives.
What was the most
really.
recent episode we did that he came up with? Was it? He came up with Nosferatu. I don't think he came up since then.
he came up in. Did he come up in Goon? I think he did. He came up in The
No,
Fly.
he probably came up with Goon.
I mean, people can hate on Nicolas Cage and his movies, but like he's a distinct. He
Yeah.
has his own culture. Like
Yeah.
he's pervasive in every.
Does Nicolas Cage have an
facet.
Oscar?
He does.
He does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What was it for?
Leaving Las Vegas. I think
Alright.
he is an Oscar winner.
Yeah.
Also, he produced a film in which fucking Willem Dafoe won an Oscar.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shit.
Well, he produced Shadow of the Vampire, which I mentioned to you the other
Yeah.
day.
So he's
yeah,
fancy.
Yeah.
He's a
So we're
fancy
talking
guy.
about Nick Cage right now.
What
Yeah.
were we supposed to be talking about?
The Mummy
It's sequels
2.
to The Mummy.
Sequel to the Mummy. Yeah.
Well, yeah, in Mummy 4, Return of Benny, Nicolas
Nicolas Cage
Cage
will be
is
in
going to
it.
be in it.
Yeah.
Is he the
it
Mummy?
makes sense.
Sorry?
No,
Is Nick
Benny's the
Cage-
Mummy.
Oh right.
Yeah.
Who's
But
Nick
maybe-
Fucking
Cage?
Nicolas Cage is... Who's Nicolas Cage?
Who would he be? Jonathan?
No, he's the grown-up version of fucking...
Their son?
O'Connell's and Evie's child.
But is Brendan Fraser also in it?
Yes.
Yes.
But they're like the same age.
But Brendan Fraser is in makeup. to
Okay,
make
so
him
he
look
looks really
older.
old.
Yeah. Because it's set in present day.
I'm pretty
Okay,
sure you
yeah,
guys
okay.
stole this from the Memehotep page guy's script. I'm pretty sure that's
So yeah, it's set in present day. Nicolas Cage is the son of Evie and
Rick.
and Benny is the mummy.
Coming back for his revenge.
Yeah, coming back from his revenge from the first movie.
well, he died in the exact same way that Emotep allegedly
Exactly,
died.
he died alive. Yeah, exactly. He's buried alive.
He got eaten by scarabs and he was buried alive.
Yeah.
So,
Boom.
He could come back.
yeah.
And so yeah, Rick is like fucking, you know, geriatric fucking Rick O'Connell.
He's like in
But
the
he's
home.
still swashbuckling.
And we don't even have like Rachel Weisz doesn't even need to be in the movie.
Well, she
Well,
wouldn't
she
be,
won't.
you know.
She
You
wouldn't.
know.
She already
be,
rejected the
She
Mummy
won an
3.
Oscar, so she's
She
too
won
good
an
for
Oscar,
this
she's
at
too
this
good
point.
Well,
yeah.
Nicolas Cage won an Oscar too. Is he too
Yeah,
good
but
for
Nicolas Cage isn't too good for anything.
Yeah. And also, if Rachel Weisz wants to win her second Oscar, she'll join.
Yeah,
on to
That's
this
exactly.
true.
movie.
Nicolas Cage isn't going for a second
Yeah.
Oscar.
But I'm saying like they could just kill off her character.
Yeah. She doesn't need to be alive. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, she didn't need to be in the third one either. They really could have.
Well, they just fucking replace her.
Well, yeah, I know. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. They didn't need Evie to be in it. They could have just been
Yeah.
like, "Oh, she's at home."
So speaking of which, I guess we should move on to the Mummy 3.
Tomb of the Dragon Emperor.
Yeah, Tomb of the
You
Dragon
didn't say
Emperor.
anything about the Mummy 2, though.
Yeah, we did. Did
Oh
we?
yeah, I didn't really explain.
Oh,
the,
okay,
do you want me
Mummy-
to explain the
yeah.
plot?
Yeah. Give us a brief rundown on Mummy
I
2.
just want to know anything about it.
How did we get into Nicolas Cage?
I don't remember.
I don't remember. Then you started
It's
talking
not
about
important.
the Mummy
Anyway,
4.
continue.
So,
Okay,
Yeah, so
tell us about Mummy
Return
2.
of Beni. So The Mummy Returns. Basically, it's been a few years. Evie and Rick are married. They live in England now. They have a mansion. They're rich from their winnings or their treasure.
They're
And
rich from Benny's fucking gold.
They're rich from Benny's gold that he died for. Rachel Weisz is looking way better. She got a new stylist, obviously.
Her eyebrows
are way better.
Yeah.
Brendan Fraser looks basically the same, but
Still slightly.
still
Maybe
such a stud.
his chin
Studly
and
dude right
jaws
over here.
maybe a little bigger.
just so banging. And then they have a son now. He's like, I don't know, like 8 or 9 or something.
Yeah.
So it's been quite a few years, but they're still they're kind of like retired. And then these like cultist guys who are super into Emotep find a way to resurrect him. I don't really remember the specifics of how he gets resurrected. Doesn't make that much sense. And then like the Magi are like, oh shit, they resurrected Emotep again. Like we're so bad at stopping it from happening. And then
So we have the Magi coming back.
yeah, they're still in it.
Like,
Ardith Bay is in it
Ardith
again.
Bay's in it, yeah.
And he's like,
Right.
oh, they found his dead body again and they resurrected him again. So then he comes back and he's still trying to resurrect Anck-su-namun. Although in The Mummy Returns, she actually there's like a quote-unquote reincarnation of her who's like a present-day person who exists, who just is like the actress who
What?
plays Anck-su-namun. And she's like supposed to be the reincarnation, but like Emotep's trying to resurrect like Anck-su-namun's soul from the underworld to put it in like the reincarnation's body.
Why not just
So
hang out with the reincarnation?
Well, because he's like, oh, you don't have the full soul.
Right, yeah.
Then we
then
also
what's the
learned
point
that
of the
Evie is also
That's
a
very
reincarnation.
similar to the plot of the
But-
original Mummy.
But then
actually.
what's the
Yeah.
point of reincarnation if the soul's not part of it? So it's just somebody who looks exactly like her?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not going to analyze.
How can it
I'm not
be
gonna analyze it, but-
reincarnation.
What's
But
the
we
point
also
of
know
calling
that
it a
we find out
reincarn-
that Evie is also a reincarnation of Nefertiti.
Right, but
the
not
God.
Egyptian
Anck-su-namun.
princess.
Right, because
But
she's Egyptian.
She's Egyptian, and
Yeah.
she's the mortal enemy of Anck-su-namun.
Really?
Yes.
whoa, shit.
And you see a bunch of like fight scenes between them
Really?
with daggers and shit.
There's way more
Sick.
backstory to this than I thought.
Yeah, there's a lot of backstory in the second one, a lot more.
Yeah. But none for Brendan Fraser.
Just
or
the
very
vague
little.
reference that he
Yeah.
might be a Magi, and that's
Right.
it. But basically, the kid, their son, basically gets kidnapped by Emotep.
Yeah.
Because he accidentally has this precious bracelet that Emotep wants, and so he gets kidnapped, and obviously then they have to go rescue him from Emotep, and kind of the action ensues, the same kind of trying to kill Emotep, etc.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty solid movie. It's a good sequel. I mean, I don't think it's as good as the first one, but it's a pretty similar
Right. So,
kind of
but
movie.
but in that movie, they sort of set it up for a spin-off, right?
They do, and it is actually the acting debut of Dwayne The Rock Johnson. And
So this movie,
This
are you saying
franchise.
The Mummy created the most profitable actor in Hollywood?
I am saying that. It is true. In fact, it is his
Yeah.
acting debut.
Right.
He is in the movie not for very long. He's the Scorpion King.
Is he actually in the movie?
He is actually for like a minute maybe.
Okay.
There's this very small scene where they explain the backstory of the Scorpion King, and they show him for like a minute as kind of like a flashback, and then he just kind of appears as like the CGI Scorpion King.
Some truly terrible CGI.
Quite bad.
To be fair, like
Quite bad. And actually, there's this
Steven
really...
Summers couldn't shell out again for the. Did he? He did direct the second one, yeah.
Yeah. There's
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
hilarious scene with the Scorpion King.
It was it had a bigger budget,
Shit.
but
Really?
they didn't shell out for ILM.
What did they spend it
That's-
on?
I don't know, Dwayne.
Maybe Dwayne, yeah.
Dwayne can't have been worth that much yet.
Yeah, he wasn't worth that much yet.
Yeah, no. This was his debut.
Yeah,
This
although
made
he
him-
was like huge.
He was
WWE.
famous, yeah.
Like I knew who The Rock was in 2002.
Yeah. But he wasn't that famous yet. He
Sorry,
wasn't-
2001 was when this movie came out.
Oh, okay.
Wait, I apologize.
Okay. Yes, so there's this great part with the Scorpion King CGI where basically Brendan Fraser stabs the Scorpion King, and Emotep doesn't want him to kill the Scorpion King. Like basically Emotep's trying to harness the power of the Scorpion King.
Right. As you do.
Because because the Scorpion King commands this immortal army, and Emotep wants the immortal army. And who whomsoever kills the Scorpion King shall wield his power. So
I thought
wants
Emotep was
to-
just after love. Like, what's the deal
No,
with
well,
all this
not
extra
anymore.
army stuff?
Well, Emotep, yeah.
It's a double-edged kind of situation.
Yeah,
like
it's
he's
more
after the
like-
love,
yeah.
but also the army.
Yeah.
Right.
So he resurrects the Scorpion King so that he can kill him, basically, and take over his immortal army.
Right.
But then Brendan Fraser kills him first. So
The
then
Scorpion King.
The Scorpion
Oh,
King.
fuck
So then
yeah.
Brendan Fraser's in charge of the immortal
Right.
army.
He
okay.
becomes the,
So
the true
there's
Scorpion
this-
King.
Yeah. So there's this shot where they're showing Brendan Fraser and he has like the spear through the Scorpion King. And they just show like a freeze frame of that for like maybe 3 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And then out of nowhere, Emotep runs into the frame and like it's been sort of silent for like maybe 4 or 5 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And then Emotep just runs in, does like a knee slide and goes, "No!" And it's it's hilarious because it's so delayed and like the Scorpion King looks very fake. So it's like basically you have to imagine like Brendan Fraser probably just had to stand there for like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Or like probably like 20 seconds just holding a spear in the air, and then Emotep just ran in and just screamed no for like probably 10 seconds straight.
So this is still Arnold Vosloo.
Yeah,
it's
still
in-
Arnold
yeah,
Vosloo,
okay.
yeah. Yes, so anyway, so that's the second one is quite good. And from there they did make a spin-off movie, The Scorpion King.
So I guess we'll talk a little bit about the Scorpion King. I haven't seen it in a really long time. I don't know. Keaton, have you seen it?
Yeah, well, I haven't seen it in a long time either, but
Yeah. Have you seen it, Sabrina, recently?
I mean, obviously.
Yeah. Okay. maybe you're the
I mean,
freshest. You can
not
give us
that
a little
recently,
bit of
but
a-
like probably like 6 months ago.
Yeah, that's much more.
That's
recently
pretty
than me.
recent. Yeah,
I
that's
don't
pretty
know, you-
recently.
Yeah, that's like.
I mean, to be honest, like it's
So Scorpion King was allegedly a real person.
apparently, yeah.
we'll have to do a truth about that.
Yeah, when we cover the Scorpion King.
He basically made a deal with Anubis, I believe,
Yeah.
to be immortal and have the powers of the scorpion or something like that.
Right.
He got bit by a scorpion and he was gonna die, and then he was like, Anubis.
I'll turn you into a scorpion, bro.
It was something. It was something
Yeah.
absurd. But in the actual Scorpion King movie, he is not a hybrid scorpion human person. He's just a regular person. He's just Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
He's not like
Um,
a scorpion centaur.
No, he's not a scorpion centaur, as
No.
in The Mummy Returns. He's just a regular dude. And yeah, he gets bit by a scorpion in the desert, and then he becomes sort of powerful. But it's very similar to The Mummy. It has kind of the same like like a bumbling oaf sidekick character like Jonathan.
Right. The
Does it
same
have a
tropes.
Benny equivalent?
There's not really a Benny equivalent.
Yeah.
There's an
Not
evil,
like in fucking Van Helsing.
not like in Van Helsing when it's literally just the same guy. It's just the same actor who just plays like the evil oaf.
Yeah.
And it's got like a very similar vibe, like action adventure kind of sort of
Yeah.
comedy situation. And it's enjoyable overall. But there are several sequels to it, which I've only seen the first one.
Yeah, there's literally 5 Scorpion King movies. So I
Holy
don't think
fuck.
I don't feel the need to get into that.
Only the first one was actually written by Stephen Sommers.
And I believe only the first one actually has The Rock in it.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, wait, is he in the second one? I don't think so.
I think he was too famous by then.
Yeah, he's not even
Too
in the second
famous
one.
to return as the
Although
Scorpion
Randy
King.
Couture is in the second one, strangely enough. But yeah. Anyway, so yeah, there are 5 Scorpion King movies and another one, an untitled reboot, allegedly in the works.
Which
to
Dwayne
be
The Rock
produced-
Johnson is producing, yeah.
Exactly.
He is involved in the project, but he says he won't star in it.
But
Unfortunately.
if he's involved, it'll be good.
Yeah,
Exactly,
exactly.
exactly. So now that we've sort of got Scorpion King films out of the way, let's talk honestly about the Mummy 3.
This is a difficult topic for any Mummy fan. I mean, The Mummy Tomb of the Dragon Emperor is a very bizarre...
I believe I saw this movie shortly after it
Sorry,
came out.
will you say that title one more time?
The Mummy Tomb of the Dragon Emperor. As the title suggests, it does not involve Emehotep, so that's automatically like 10.
There's
kind of
the Mummy's not
disqualifying.
in it.
That's kind of like a 50%
It's called
discount.
The Mummy.
Yeah, but it's not The Mummy.
It's is he even a mummy?
Well, not... Did Chinese people make mummies?
I think that's debatable.
If the
Yeah.
Chinese made mummies, then yes.
Yeah.
But
I know
it's
there were those Buddhist monks that like self-mummified.
gross.
It,
How do
it's
you
a-
self-mummify?
Apparently
Are
it's-
you already dead?
it's apparently the most excruciating thing.
True.
Yeah, you
They like
apparently
remove
just like
their own organs and stuff.
no, they sit in like a fucking hole, and they don't eat. It's kind of gross. I'm not.
They
even
like
gonna
they
get
like
into
jerk. They make themselves into jerky.
Stop.
it. Basically, it's
Cool.
it requires a lot of commitment.
Okay, I don't think that was what happened in the
I don't
in the
think
movie.
that's what happened in that. Yeah.
I've only actually seen it once. And it was released several years after the Mummy
By the way, if
Returns.
you know more about this self-mummification, please correct us.
This was not researched.
Yeah,
Kick
I don't actually know
at
anything about this. Yeah, sorry.
I said cranekickcommentaries@gmail.com.
Exactly.
Yes, so the movie is, as it kind of suggests, is about an ancient Chinese emperor who somehow comes back from the dead and has some kind of vengeful situation. I don't really remember why, but he wants to kill somebody, so he comes back to life. And Brendan Fraser is in the movie. He's still Rick O'Connell.
Wow,
Jonathan's
he's still in it.
too,
Yeah,
you know?
Jonathan's
Wow.
in it, and they have their son is in it, but it's like a grown version of the son.
It's a different actor, but it kind of makes sense because they grew up a lot.
Yeah.
And then, but you know who's not in it? Rachel Weisz.
Too famous.
And
Well, yeah, she got her Oscar.
She
so
got her
was,
Oscar.
Right.
But the awkward thing is, instead of just not having Evie in the movie, they just replaced her with a different actress.
That is
That
super
you can't.
weird.
I hate when they do that.
I hate
Yeah.
when they do that, and that's,
Without any explanation.
no, just she's suddenly a different person, and it really like, it's just immediately off the bat, it's like, I don't like this.
So what would you say is the general opinion in sort of the Mummy fan community about Mummy 3?
Low, very low,
But not as bad as Tom Cruise Mummy.
Not as bad as Tom Cruise Mummy because it still has Brendan Fraser, but there are quite a few memes about
Right.
just like the replacement of Rachel Weisz,
Right.
and how that's like not
Heinous.
It's kind of heinous, but honestly, a lot of the time it doesn't even get mentioned. Like
They just don't even acknowledge it.
it doesn't
Well,
get acknowledged very
but
much.
what
Mummy
does
3
get
is not
acknowledged is
on the
that-
radar enough for them to care.
No,
Is that the fucking Brendan Fraser Mummy was so much more successful than
well,
fucking
yes, because it's
Tom Cruise
factually. I mean,
Mummy.
it's factually true.
It's factually correct. We can
Yeah.
verify this.
We can verify this.
This is verifiable. This is the truth. You know, this is 100% truth information.
Factual.
I guarantee.
Tom Cruise wouldn't want us to say it, but
But it's true.
it's true. His movie was far less successful than Brendan Fraser's, and generally hated by the Mummy fan community,
Yeah.
I would say.
But like that movie would have had to make $500 million to just be profitable.
Yeah. Which is a
And
tall
it's-
order.
It's an insane
That's
way
just
to make
fucking
movies.
terrible planning.
Yeah, I mean, I
on,
don't really
like-
know who thought that it could make that much
Yeah.
money. Like, I don't think that many movies make that much
Hey, you know,
money.
for once, I think this is actually the proper time to talk about the Tom Cruise Mummy. Because this is talking about sequels to set-offs
Yeah,
and
it's
remakes
true.
or reboots or whatever.
It's true.
Yeah.
I mean, we've already talked about it entirely.
Well, we have talked about it, but we
Yeah.
can talk about it more.
Yeah, let's talk. Let's get to the meat of it. Why is
Yeah.
Tom Cruise Mummy so bad?
I mean, it's hard to say because there are a lot of issues with the movie in general.
Yeah.
I mean, again, no Memehotep, so that's automatically an issue.
Exactly.
Also, the plot is really weird.
Yeah.
Doesn't make that much sense.
Well, the whole point was to set it up for the Dark Universe.
Yeah, because it was supposed to tie in with Universal Studios trying to make this dark universe like the Marvel universe, but with like classic horror villains.
But like also just terribly planned.
Yeah, but the first movie was supposed to be The Mummy.
Yeah.
And then they were going to make like Frankenstein and
Oh,
Dr.
God.
Jekyll and Mr.
Yeah,
Hyde.
but I mean, they threw in Russell Crowe in that movie to be Dr. Jekyll.
They threw in Russell Crowe to be Dr. Jekyll, which was
And Mr. Hyde, I guess.
hella weird. Yeah, he was also Mr. Hyde. He did transform.
And why did Russell Crowe sully himself with this film?
So wait,
Good
Russell
question.
Crowe was in The Mummy as
was.
Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde?
Yeah,
Yes.
so I mean, I think that tells you a little bit about
quality
what's
of the
wrong
movie.
with this movie.
What the
It's
fuck?
completely bizarre.
Although Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde was in Van Helsing.
He wasn't
which
Van
was directed
Helsing,
by
yeah.
Steven Sommers.
But Van Helsing is like a crossover of every single movie ever made.
So I think they should have put Steven Sommers in charge of the Dark Universe, and I think that's the problem.
I think it would have been good.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. He made The Mummy, The Mummy Returns.
Why can't there be Van Helsing versus the Mummy?
Exactly. Why not? That would be a good movie. But yeah, so they tried to make it into this dark universe situation, and it was bizarre. Tom Cruise ended up becoming like sort of a deity in some scenario. Like,
I don't understand. But I the one thing I just find really hilarious with the Dark Universe is how much money did they spend on The Mummy 2017?
I think it was like $400 million.
Right. And so quickly afterwards they gave up on this whole Dark Universe idea, and then they sort of took the little bits of that and they made like what? They made a movie called The Invisible Man. How much money did that cost? Let me look that up.
A lot less.
The Invisible Man, which came out earlier this year, and I actually haven't seen it, but I think I might.
It looks
watch
like it might actually be kind of interesting.
Yeah, so it cost $7 million to make, which is lower than the original cost for this movie that we're talking about.
Yeah.
And it made $140 million.
Holy shit.
So I'm just saying, like, clearly Universal does not have their fucking shit together. No. Like,
the budget for the 2017 Mummy was $195 million.
that is preposterous.
Yeah.
That is preposterous.
How much money does Tom? I guess I'm sorry, Tom. We're your biggest fans, obviously.
Clearly.
But I mean, clearly the Mummy 2017 was garbage. And
Trash, yeah.
Well, yeah, it was so bad that they canceled the whole Dark Universe.
Yeah, you completely torpedoed the Dark Universe. Like,
and they had lined up like Johnny Depp, and they had like Angelina Jolie lined up, Russell
Holy
Crowe. They had
shit.
all these like pretty big name actors
do you
lined
really
up.
do you really need that much money, Tom?
I mean, he needs it.
Yeah.
He's doing his own stunts. I mean, they are saving money on the
that's true.
stuntmen.
But yeah, Invisible Man, $7 million budget, $140.6 million earned.
I mean,
So I think it just further underlines the idea that the whole Dark Universe was a terrible fucking idea. And like,
I mean, I feel like any focus group would tell you that that's a terrible idea. It's like,
Yeah.
like
do you
just
want
the
to-
name, like the Dark Universe. Like,
Yeah.
it just
like-
sounds stupid.
yeah. It's
Do you want
terrible.
to see a movie where the mummy fights Frankenstein? Honestly, no.
I do.
I mean, no, not.
You don't want to see that?
No,
I
actually,
want to
now
see
that
that.
I've said it out loud, yeah, absolutely, I do. No, you're right.
Also, I just want to. This is just reminding me so much of another movie as soon as we said versus the Mummy, I just had the wheels spinning in my head. Have you ever seen Shanghai Noon or Shanghai Nights?
Great movies.
Yeah.
Fantastic movies.
Yeah.
So in the beginning of Shanghai Nights, there is this whole scene where Owen Wilson's character is talking about, his exploits. And he writes this book called Roy O'Bannon versus the Mummy, who is his character in the movie. And it's like, I want to see that movie. I want to see Roy O'Bannon versus the Mummy. Give me Owen Wilson fighting Imhotep any day.
Oh,
I really
fuck,
want
that
to see
would be
that.
good.
That shit.
That
That shit
sounds-
is fucking excellent.
That would be excellent.
O'Bannon, Rick O'Connell.
Similar.
Very similar.
Also, the time period is like really
Yeah.
close because although I guess Shanghai Noon is supposed to be in like the 1880s. So that's actually like 50 years apart. So I guess like that's
No,
quite a bit of time.
It's only 40
Yeah.
or so.
Like,
But was that movie made after The Mummy?
no, it was made around the same. Well, wait, was Shanghai Noon? Shanghai Nights might have been made after the Mummy, but I don't think Shanghai Noon was. Yeah. Dude, we gotta do a fucking Jackie movie, dude.
Yeah.
Jackie is the best.
2000.
Okay.
Dude, we gotta do fucking Rush Hour.
Okay, calm down.
We gotta do fucking Rush Hour.
Yeah.
You know what's a
we-
terrible movie?
What?
Rush Hour 3.
What is it with
Yikes.
threes?
Yikes.
Okay, so here it is. Mummy 4, Benny Returns, Roy O'Bannon versus the Mummy.
But does Brendan Fraser still get to be in it?
Yeah. Brendan Fraser and Owen Wilson team up with Jackie Chan,
With
and Rachel Weisz returns as well.
Okay. Yeah, I'm liking
And
it.
they defeat Benny together.
I like
Because
it.
Benny's the new mummy.
Because he's the new Mummy.
She's going to get an Oscar for that film.
She's going to get an Oscar, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
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 Should we get to it?
Yeah, trek
Okay.
me up, baby.
All right, buddy.
Double fist. Double fist him. The strongest punch in the universe.
There's nothing stronger than this.
Especially if your shirt is ripped slightly open. Or
Yeah.
completely open.
Or if you just have the scratch across it,
Yeah,
and you
yeah,
just
yeah,
have
yeah,
like, yeah. But just enough so that your pecs or
Yeah,
your
yeah.
nipples are just coming out of it. Like, so, welcome to 6 Degrees of Star Trek. The segment that nobody asked for, but you're getting anyway.
You're getting it anyway.
Exactly. This is the segment in which we find connections between this film and the place beyond the place where no hand has ever gone before. The place,
Right.
the connections to the final frontier,
There you go. There
space. Okay, we talk about how this movie connects to Star Trek. Okay,
There you go.
That's what we do.
Okay.
Okay.
So this one's gonna be pretty good because I noticed just a bunch of incidental ones just while I was
You noticed
looking.
some incidental ones.
Yeah.
I noticed. I didn't even have to do any research on this, to be honest. These are all 1 degrees.
Fuck yeah! All right, lay it on me.
So Sabrina, just to explain to you and all the listeners who have inexplicably never listened to this segment before.
This might be their first episode. All of Sabrina's
Yeah.
family listening to this for the first time.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and the people on
And the
Memehotep.
people on Memehotep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
So, 6 degrees of Star Trek, a 1 degree is when a person has been both in this film and directly contributed to some piece of Star Trek screen content. This could be an episode of a show, could be a movie.
Screen content's a bit even limiting though, because sometimes as we've noticed in the Trek segments, it's Trek material that didn't even make it to screen.
Yes, but it very nearly did. But so is the point I'm making is it can't be a book and it can't be like a comic or something
Okay,
like that.
right.
Like it has to be like a
Made for
mainline
screen.
piece of the Star Trek universe.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha.
So let's start off with somebody who we've already mentioned.
Nick Cage.
No. I don't think he was in this or Star Trek, actually. Anyway, Eric Avari, who is, I guess, he's an Indian-American actor. He plays in this film Dr. Terrence Bay.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
The very, very useful
Yeah,
museum
the one who
director
burns
the
who
map.
burns the map.
But it's okay,
Yes.
because Brendan Fraser's the map.
That's right. It's all
He says,
in
I'm the
here.
map.
It's all in
We
here.
don't need a map. I'm the map.
I'm the map.
I'm the map.
So Eric Avari is plays Dr. Terrence Bay, and as I already mentioned, he is a member of the Stargate cast. He is both in the movie and in the TV series, but that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about Star Trek.
Indeed.
Indeed.
And in Star Trek Enterprise, in the season 1 episode Terra Nova.
Terra Nova, Terrence Bay. Interesting.
Coincidence.
It's complete coincidence.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is
he plays
it?
He plays one of the Novans. The Terra Nova was like an estranged Earth colony who actually came to believe that Earth had attacked them in the past, and then they reunite and they have contact again, and then the Novans are very distrustful of the Earth people, and Eric Varry plays one of the Novans.
Gotcha.
One of the most prominent Novan actually in the episode, probably. But
Is it a good episode? I don't think I've seen it.
It's an excellent episode. I don't know how much Enterprise you watch. Enterprise, I think, is the most underrated Star Trek series.
I have not watched a lot of it. I always assumed it was the worst one, but when I was younger, I assumed it was the worst
underrated.
one until I was more
because it was the
with...
most recent one when you were younger. That's
exactly, exactly. Until I was more familiar with the Next Generation, then I realized.
Yeah, it was all available to you at the time. You just hadn't seen it.
Yeah.
Next up, we have storied actor Oded Fehr. Who
Yes.
plays
Very handsome.
Aldith Bay.
Very handsome. Very handsome.
Very
dude.
handsome. No, to be honest, very handsome guy.
Did I mention my fact about him being handsome?
No, you didn't.
No. Is it that he's handsome?
No. Well, yes, but also apparently originally Stephen Summers had planned to have the Magi all covered in facial tattoos, and he does have some tattoos, but he was supposed to be completely covered in tattoos.
Right.
He's like, he's too handsome.
But Stephen
he's
Summers
too
was like,
suave.
yo,
like, you know,
Odette is way too hot.
Yeah.
He can't cover his face.
Yeah.
That's
he's
awesome.
too suave.
So they only gave him a few tattoos
Yeah.
because they didn't want his haughtiness to not be shown.
Another little fact I want to mention about Oded Fehr, I guess this isn't really a fact about Oded Fehr, but, you know, I just want to point out that there's really not that many Arab actors in this movie. And
No.
I thought that Oded Fehr was Arab, but he's actually not.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
even Oma Jalili's not even Arab. He's English Iranian.
Right.
Damn it.
And I know this because Oma Jalili used to have a show called the Oma Jalili Show.
Really? He had a show?
He did, yeah, which was on... I haven't actually seen many episodes of the show, but it was on the BBC after another show that I was watching. I can't remember if it was Doctor Who or Top Gear. I can't remember which one I was watching, but it was always on right afterwards, and it had a really memorable theme song.
What kind of show was
and
it?
Was it just him going?
It was a skit show, because he was like a comedian, and the theme song. And I know he's Iranian because in the theme song, and because it was a parody of Sting's song, "I'm an Englishman in New York." But
Right.
it was, I'm Iranian in UK.
Right.
And that was the theme song for his show. And that was just, because it was always on after whatever show I was watching. I can't remember which one it was. But I just had the theme song stuck in my head.
Of course. Understandably.
And he's singing it, too. He's singing
Right.
the theme song.
Okay, yeah.
So...
I don't drink coffee, I take Dur, my friend.
Yogurt-based drink, very nice.
Like my kebab done on both sides. And you can hear it in my accent when I say I'm Iranian in UK.
So look up the Ahmad Jalili show if you want to know more about the warden.
The warden.
So anyway, Oded Fehr, who is not Egyptian and is not in fact Arab at all, is in fact an Ashkenazi Jew from Israel, was in Discovery Season 3, or is in Discovery Season 3 because it's currently airing.
Really?
Currently airing. He plays Admiral Charles Vance,
Ooh,
one of the
Admiral.
head Federation admirals in Season 3 of Star Trek Discovery, which I highly recommend. Season 3 of Star Trek Discovery. It is the best season of Star Trek Discovery yet. There's only been 3. But
It just keeps getting better.
Well, I mean, to be honest, season 1 and 2 were kind of mad, but season 3 is pretty good.
So it has a reverse pattern to the Mummy trilogy.
Well, it's kind of like have you ever heard the expression "growing the beard"?
No.
It's actually an expression that comes from Star Trek
Ah.
because it's about Riker. Because Riker grows the beard at one point, and then the show gets better.
Right.
So growing the beard is like the opposite of jumping the shark.
Okay.
So yeah, Odin Fair, who plays Ardith Bay, is in Star Trek Discovery.
Hells yeah.
And now let's get to some, like, you know, some good shit. Some, like, you know, full-on classic, huge players in the Trek universe.
Okay.
Whew.
As you may know, this film was scored by the one and only legend, Jerry fucking Goldsmith.
Hells yeah.
Jerry G in the house.
It's a dope soundtrack.
It
It's
is a
sick
great soundtrack. He nails it. I feel like I'm in Egypt.
You're transported.
So as Keaton may or may not have mentioned earlier, Jerry Goldsmith has scored 5 Star Trek films.
That's, yeah.
And I believe he wrote some theme songs as well, including none other than the theme to Star Trek Voyager.
The best theme that there is for Star Trek.
As we all know, Keaton is a massive Star Trek Voyager stan. Like, fucking... Keaton, yeah, that's Jerry G.
So
Jerry G in
good.
the house here.
So
good. So what you may not know is also on this film, The Mummy. The score was not just the work of Jerry G, the magician.
No, there was another one. Yeah, who was the other person?
Alexander Courage. Alexander Courage, who is known for having written the theme song to Star Trek, the original series.
Wow.
No way. So there's two. So the Mummy was entirely tracked by Star Trek people.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't really have to look that far for this.
No, like, I didn't have to do any research at all. I just knew.
Just watch those, see the credits.
I do also want to mention that Alexander Courage almost did the score for 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Really?
He actually wrote a whole score, but Stanley Kubrick was just like, I'd rather just use some royalty-free classical music so I don't have to pay you.
All right, so I guess now then it's time for...
Now it's time for final thoughts, I
for
guess.
the final thoughts. After
Yeah,
this
you know,
long journey that we've taken
We've made
here.
it through it. You know,
It's a lot to think about.
it's a lot to think about.
It's a lot to take
Do you
in,
think
yeah.
that, Sabrina, do you think that you have sufficiently, said all that you want to say about the Mummy here?
I mean, there's always more to be said about The Mummy,
Right.
1999. But I feel that I've shared my message,
Right. Well, you do have one last segment here
This, yeah.
to sum it up, to sum the total of what you've been saying here for the last several hours.
Many hours.
Almost 5 hours.
With this episode and the previous episode to talk about the Mummy.
Well, I guess I would say that The Mummy is a highly underrated movie and that everyone should watch it because it's...
That means you.
You. I'm
You
speaking to you.
In fucking Michigan and Pennsylvania.
We don't have any
Egypt.
listeners
Egypt.
in Michigan.
Sorry?
We don't have any
do
listeners,
have listeners in Michigan.
Do we? Oh, I'm
we do.
sorry, Michigan
Yeah.
listeners.
Yeah. I'm sorry, people in Michigan. We all love you.
But if you haven't seen The Mummy, do it.
Yeah.
It's a great movie. And I feel like it's a bad rap, you know?
Especially you all in Michigan.
All of you in Michigan. You have to watch it.
Yeah.
I don't know why we're harping on Michigan here, but like...
You know, it's just a solid movie, and it really brings me joy every time I watch it. Shout out to Omar Jalili, who was also in Mamma Mia 2. An amazing
just
movie.
2, huh? Not the first one.
Yeah. Not the first one. But yeah, it's just a very enjoyable movie, and I feel like it's got a little something for pretty much everyone.
Yeah.
I think. Unless you're like...
Unless you don't think that Brendan Fraser is Studley Do-Right.
Yeah, then you suck.
Yeah.
And you're wrong. But no, I remember I was reading some like critical reviews of The Mummy, and even the movie critics who said it was a bad movie were like, it's a terrible movie, but I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Actually, we have a little bit of a quote from Roger Ebert, actually.
Yeah.
Don't we?
Yeah, I put that in there
Do you want to read that quickly for us, Keaton?
Yeah, well, I put that in because I just like, as you say, it kind of sums up perfectly how I feel about this movie in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
There's hardly a thing I can say in its favor, except that I was cheered by nearly every minute of it. I cannot...
Yeah, I know. It's just like...
It's just...
I hate this movie, but it's great.
But it's great.
It's so clearly bad, but it's
like,
so
I mean,
good.
You know, like Roger Ebert, God rest his soul, like we disagree on like a lot of facts, but you know, he's totally right here. Like,
and I mean, I feel like that's kind of the charm of it, is it's cheesy and it's kind of bad, but like it's just very enjoyable, and it's a great movie to watch like if you want to watch something entertaining but you don't really want to like think about it too much, or like you don't want to watch like a drama. Like it's a nice light movie that just
light,
it'll just cheer
fun,
you up.
Yeah.
Light fun, yeah. And I honestly, I often watch it when I'm sick because it makes me it uplifts me, you know?
Yeah, I can totally see that.
Lifts my soul from the underworld.
Memehotep. Memehotep.
Memehotep.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really add anything to that, really. It's the same. I have the same kind of opinion. Like, I don't have the same relationship with it that you do, but...
No, I mean...
I don't think anybody
does.
It's
been years
well,
in
except
the
all
making.
those on the Memehotep page.
Maybe the people on the Memehotep page.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't met them. But they might be, and they might be as intense as me.
Yeah, I'm sure they are. but like you, I did see it on TV, like, 6,000 times. Like, I don't know, like...
Yeah.
The first time I watched it definitely, like, wasn't in theaters or anything. The first time I watched it was, like, in... 30 different sittings on TV. You know, like I saw like the middle third of it, and then like another time I saw the first.
This is I was actually telling Jake about this the other day because for the first, actually like until not that many years ago, I didn't realize that the movie was set in the 1920s because
is it the 1920s or 1930s?
It's 1926.
It's not entirely clear.
It's not entirely clear.
It is entirely clear. It's 1926.
Okay, boom.
When did they say that?
I don't remember, but I know that that's what it is.
I think it flashes on the screen very
there's like a
briefly at the
newspaper or something.
Yeah, but I didn't realize that for a really long time because I had only seen the movie like in a million different segments on TV. Like I don't think I've maybe seen it through like a few times, but in general, I had mostly just watched different pieces of it. So I'd never really connected like that it was like, oh, they're driving old cars and like
they're flying a biplane.
They're flying a biplane. And then I actually watched it all the way through, and I was like, "Wait,
is this movie in the
1920s?"
Hold on.
Oh, so much makes sense now.
It's like that's why everything
I don't know. I've never
looks...
been to Egypt. I don't know what it's like there. Maybe they still fly biplanes. I don't know.
I've never been to Egypt either.
Me neither. No.
You know, once COVID's over, we'll do a special episode from Egypt.
Yeah.
We'll fly there. And
or
we'll do
maybe Morocco.
In front of the pyramids of Giza.
We'll do Mummy 4 when that comes out.
Yeah, the pyramids of Giza in Thebes.
In Thebes, the pyramids of Giza, yeah.
We could probably afford to
Which
hire
are
Beni.
on the east side of the Nile.
Yes.
Jake, what about you? Final thoughts?
Final thoughts. Yeah. Once again, it's just a really fucking entertaining movie. Also, as you may have gathered by comments I have made during this episode, I think the CGI really holds up, despite a lot of really bad CGI around this period of time.
Yeah.
But actually, I was actually thinking about this because I was watching the making of the Mummy, which is pretty good. But they had the shot where they were showing the initial mock-up CGI that they sent to Stephen Sommers of the intro.
Right.
And I was just thinking any other fucking movie in 1999 would have just used this as the shot from the movie.
Right, yeah.
And it was but yeah, so it's a really fun movie. Has some effects that really hold up. But I will say there were some parts of this movie that were, to be honest, pretty offensive.
Oh yeah. I
Yeah.
think that kind of is
Certainly.
as soon as you see where it's set and the subject matter, you kind of
Yeah. Also, the lack of any actual
representation. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm also not gonna lie. As much as I love Omar Jalili's performance, he's one of the more racist stereotypes in the movie.
He's just smelly and and spitting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
his
it's
character's
not
pretty
great.
racist. It's
I really like the character. Super funny.
Yeah.
But really questionable.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, there's a lot of that in this movie, I think, but you're in this day and age you're kind of aware of that the moment you turn it on, that's what you kind of
that's
expect
true.
that. And
Yeah.
But it is good that you mentioned that because
Yeah.
it is quite problematic.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, what just to further underscore that just a little bit, I was thinking about the fight that they had between the Tuaregs and the French Foreign Legion in the beginning, and I was thinking this could have been extra footage from Lawrence of Arabia, which was filmed in the fucking 1960s.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, not to take anything away from Lawrence of Arabia, I love that fucking movie, but also some offensive things in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the fact that you can compare the two like that is
the fact that they were made 50 years apart and 40, no, not even 1960, okay, almost 40 years apart. You think that there should be some progress there.
It's interesting looking back on it, 20 years ago, but we're still talking about that with movies today.
Yes, definitely.
Fucking Aladdin.
Jesus
I actually
Christ.
haven't seen the live action Aladdin.
I watched it actually.
Yeah. How's Will Smith?
I mean, I don't know. All I'll
Will
say.
Smith, who's featured on this podcast before.
Really?
Although, we haven't had him on.
No, you're
although
not that,
he's
you're not
invited.
that big. He is, I believe, a Scientologist.
It's not entirely clear.
Well,
But he
I think
probably
it
knows
was
Tom
pretty
Cruise.
clear.
Well, I think we came to the conclusion that he was very Scientology leaning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he
Yeah.
definitely knows Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
They're pals.
They're friends, probably.
Yeah.
But yes, it's just, we're still talking about this today, and Hollywood still does the same kind of crap
Yeah.
now.
Well, I mean, I feel like this is a thing that consistently comes up on this podcast. That Hollywood is fucking terrible.
Yeah.
pretty
Hollywood,
much.
as Rachel Weisz said earlier, this is not a charitable
It is
industry.
not a charitable industry.
No, she put it perfectly. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that really sums it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are definitely many ways the movie could have been more culturally sensitive or
Yeah.
appropriate,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. Although, to be fair, that's not that. It doesn't take up that much time in the movie.
No, I don't.
It's specifically the Omar Jalili character, the Warden character,
Yeah.
that is the most.
That character's
Other
problematic.
than that, I feel like there's not. I mean, other than that, it's super inaccurate. I feel like there's
Yeah.
not so much that's
Yeah.
particularly offensive.
I mean, like,
Mostly
basically,
him.
it's just the, like, because they're trying to, like, emulate the, like, original Mummy, like, 1920s aesthetic, where it's,
Yeah.
like, some of it's kind of intentional, like, the way
Although,
the,
yeah,
the,
to be
like,
fair,
the locals...
yeah, this movie's 100% less racist than the 1930s
Yeah.
movie. Like, I think we can agree on that. There's no
Yeah.
blackface in this movie.
No.
It's a low bar, but
Yeah, it's a very low bar. Like, they fucking sailed over that bar.
Yeah.
But, like,
yeah, no, it's definitely better than that.
yeah.
But for sure, they could have, you know,
Yeah,
there are elements
things that they could
that
have
probably
done.
now would not be made.
Definitely
Yeah.
not.
But
Well, I hope not.
I hope not.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
as we know, it is not very charitable.
I guess that's we've kind of reached the end, huh?
Yeah.
Well, that was a journey.
Yeah.
It was.
It was a journey. We learned about many things. We learned about fucking Imhotep, the real guy.
Yeah.
We learned about fucking Brendan Fraser almost dying. We learned about The Rock. We learned about CGI.
The list goes
And-
on.
Inexplicably, we ended up talking about Owen Wilson, which I always support.
Yeah, you can't argue with that.
So all in all, I think it was a good episode.
Yeah. Well done. Good work, team.
Good work,
Yeah.
team. Yeah.
I find myself thinking about the stuntman who broke both his arms.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do too.
Yeah, I hope he recovered fully.
I hope he recovered.
I
fully.
hope he's okay.
I hope
Actually,
he got another job.
if
after.
if he wants to come on the podcast, we'll have him.
Please
He's
tell us
welcome.
more.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Send your emails to podcast. Sorry, no. Send your emails to criticalcommentaries@gmail.com.
Yeah, send your hate mail to podcast.jakedelmastro.com.
Podcast at jakedelmaster.com.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
So yeah, one's for hate mail, one's for regular mail.
I haven't. The Bostonians haven't sent me anything yet.
Oh,
They're
well,
too
that's
afraid.
good. Yeah, they're clearly that's it. They fear you.
Okay, I'm not gonna get into Boston right now, but
Really?
so
That's
Sabrina, before we is there anything that you want to plug? Quickly.
Like what?
I don't know. You got anything you want to promote? You're on our
Memehotep?
podcast, you know. You know, not that we have a huge audience or anything, but it's like, you know,
someone in Michigan's listening right now.
someone in Michigan is listening to. Someone in India. Oma Jalili is probably listening to this
probably
podcast
listening.
in the UK.
Oh my god, I can't think of anything.
Memehotep.
Memehotep.
Yes, fucking follow Memehotep.
Follow Memehotep's Mummy Memes.
Yeah,
It is an excellent page, and they provide many humorous memes.
yeah, exactly.
Also, if you like to drink tea, order tea from Pippin's Tea in Toronto. It's dope.
I've not actually tried Pippin's.
And there you go, Pippin's tea.
It's a local business.
Assuming,
Support
yeah, if
them.
you don't live in Toronto, I think you're gonna have a hard time getting it. But
They do ship
Hey.
it, but it would be probably a hassle.
yeah,
No, not a hassle. You could ship it anywhere. Pippin's tea.
you could ship it to Michigan.
You could ship it to India.
I mean,
Although it probably came from India.
Yeah, Michigan is a pretty low bar. Like that's real close by.
It's not that far. It's not that
That's
far.
like 2 hours.
Yeah. Oh, also, I just want to promote Brendan Fraser
Yeah?
as a person.
As a person.
Oh, yeah.
We love
Brendan
you,
the
Brendan.
Laser
Yeah.
Fraser.
And I'm very happy that he's making a comeback.
Is he?
Have you seen
Yeah.
his new pics? Yeah, he's
Oh,
making a
all
comeback.
right, cool.
Oh yeah.
I'm into it.
He's back.
He's back.
Please love Brendan Fraser.
Yeah, love all around.
That's all.
All right, let's. I think we got it. Let's blast out. So Mummy 4 starring Brendan Fraser, fucking whoever plays Beni,
Kevin O'Connor.
Kevin O'Connor,
Yeah.
Rachel Weisz, Owen Wilson, and Jackie Chan.
The dream.
Memehotep.